Welcome to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games
and board gamey things.
My name is Jason.
And I'm Zach.
And today we're going to go through what we like to call our top 11 favorite board games
of the last 2 hours.
Well, at least the last 4 years, probably.
Yeah.
Since I'm pretty new to the board game hobby, Zach's a little more experienced than myself. So yeah, we're going to do our top 11. It's our first time. You've seen Jeff and Jamie's top 11, so now you can critique our top 11. So how are we going to start this?
I think let's do it snake style, starting with you, with your number 11, which is kind of our honorable mention.
Okay. My number 11 is Zombicide Black Plague by Simon, and the designers are Raphael Goutin and Jean-Baptiste Lilian and Nicolas Raoult. And basically, this is just a awesome game. It's a great game. The reason I picked it is because me and my daughter play it a lot. Basically, it's a dice rolling, cooperative, killing a bunch of zombies. The only downfall I find with them is just that there's 6 characters in it, and usually when you're playing most of your missions, you have 6 characters. So when me and my daughter are playing, we're each running, 3 characters each. So I definitely would rather if you were able to scale it down somehow, and you probably can. You guys probably leave in the comments. You probably scale it down just to maybe that you control 1 character or at least 2. So it can be a little overwhelming at that point, but it's a great game. It's fun. It's you're constantly changing the map, going through the scenarios, and that's my number 11.
All right, yeah, I've only played it with you one time, but it was a good enough experience that I went out and bought Green Horde.
Oh yes, you did.
So I haven't played that yet. But,
no, we'll definitely have
I definitely like to play more of the Zombicides. The mall aesthetic of like the classic one doesn't really appeal to me so much.
Yeah.
But same, I think they have like an alien one, but like the medieval one seemed really cool.
Yeah, the Middle Age, just where you have necromancers are in it, you have paladins and whatnot. So it just adds a whole experience to it. And I agree with you. The newer age ones, well, the original, I guess, it's not as appealing as you get into the fantastical world.
Right. And I guess that puts it on my number 11. And my number 11 is Camel Up, second edition.
Camel Up.
And you've probably heard that about this game on the channel before, because we do enjoy our racing games. And this is a game by Eggertspiel, and the designer is, I have really tiny type, Stefan Bogen. And basically, as soon as I heard of this game and saw it, I forget if I heard about it first, or I think I might have just seen it in the board game shop, and you might have been with me, but it just looked really interesting.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Living in Egypt at the time.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that our first few plays of it were really good, where we had the whole crowd around, and every time we make the pyramid poop out a dice and have the camels move, we always yell Camel Up all together. Just a good time, and I enjoy those kind of games where you can have a larger group, because I think you can play with it might be up to 8 people with this one. So
yeah, there's quite a few. Yeah, and the higher the player count, you can then partner up with people, in which you have to yell partner up, same as Camel Up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great party game. Fantastic.
Yeah.
First time you brought it home, we played it. It was really fun. Really fun.
Yeah, and I tend to enjoy like having a few games like that where you can get larger player counts in, and it's not always something that needs to be so heavy. Like your number 1, a bit heavier to get someone into the first time, but I find Camel Up, and probably Zombicide even, if someone were to be just around and see you playing it, they're going to ask you, what's that?
Yeah, and how many board games are a pop-up book?
Yeah, I really enjoy that aspect with the oasis and the palm trees.
Yeah,
so
beautiful.
My number 11, Camel Up, which puts it back to my number 10. And my number 10 is one that I've actually only played one time, but I had such a good experience, and I could see the potential for it, that I really think I had to put it in here, because I've been away for a long time, and I've got a lot of games stacked up on my to play list. But this one isn't even one of mine, it's one of yours, and that is Star Wars Outer Rim. And that is by Fantasy Flight Games, and the designer is Corey Konieczka. And I just thought it was a really well-made game. In my playthrough, I just played against you in a 2-player game. I was Lando Calrissian, who had an amazing ability that I believe it's anytime you roll a die, you can re-roll one, which in this game, like, I didn't really fully understand the rules at first. Like, Jason was just kind of explaining as we went. But when we were choosing characters, I saw that, and I thought, no way that's not incredibly useful.
Yeah, usually you see you get to roll a dice again, that's the character you want to pick for sure.
And I definitely found that It's one of those games where just the theme works so well, and all of the different things you get to do, picking up the bounties, taking legal cargo, illegal cargo, you can fight the patrols, and the way that the patrols advance toward you,
Yeah.
the modular nature of the board. And I've seen like people that upgrade it with like the actual ship minis and everything like that, so I could see at 2-player it was enjoyable, but understanding that like the gear and the weapons and everything were from a deck that has a finite number, and we were kind of getting through that ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you add 2 more people with competing goals and everything like that, then I can see it really getting a bit more competitive and interactive.
I'd like to play it at 3, I think. I
Yeah.
think 3 would be a decent number with it. But yeah, I like, it's been so long since I played it, and then when me and you played it there, it was just, I was just like, yeah, I really do like this game. I want to get it to the table more for sure.
Yeah, I think I was assuming that it might have been a heavier game. Like you and Jeff and Jamie have like, what was it, Imperial Assault and some of those ones
Okay,
that are
yeah.
like, I thought it may have been something that was a bit heavier, but
Yeah, no,
it
it's not too
definitely
bad.
fell into a good category of like a little bit of luck on what cards you're drawing. And there's things like if you don't like the card, you can, on each turn, I think you can put one card from the top of one deck to the bottom.
Yes, yeah,
which
yeah.
really
so it
helps
can
with the
prevent,
refreshing and preventing people
yeah.
from.
So if you think somebody's
getting
going
what
to
they
take a
want.
certain card, just pop that on the
Yeah,
bottom, and
so-
then yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's my number 10, Star Wars Outer Rim.
Good pick. All right, so my number 10 is Parks by Keymaster Games and Henry Audubon. I only played this once. I can kind of compare this would have been probably my Wingspan spot. I played Wingspan by Stonemaier Games, really enjoyed that, but I don't know what it was about Parks. I just played, like I said, I just played it the one time, played it with Jeff and Jamie, and I just was just blown away by it. The aesthetic, basically you're taking your hiker along, basically going on a hike, and you have 2 hiker people with you, so the more you advance you can do this, but as people advance you have to advance past them, or you can't be the last, and if you're the last you have to come off, and it's just, you get a water bottle and you get all these different symbols, and you're buying cards for points, basically parks, which are all real parks. I love if they would have like I don't know if they have a worldwide edition. Canadian Parks would be awesome to incorporate in that. But yeah, so Parks, my number 10, just a beautiful game. Just one of those nice, easy, fun, aesthetically, mechanically, very well put together game.
Yeah, I have not played it yet, but I've seen it. It looks like a really nice looking game. I know Jamie really enjoys it. Jeff has had negative experience because I think Jamie really innately gets the game, and Jeff has been struggling to find a strategy for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely heard it's good, and looking forward to trying it.
Yeah, no, I think you'll like it. So my number 9 is, and I think this is going to be, I think this was on Jeff and Jamie's list, and
Okay.
I'm thinking it might be on yours, but I don't know. But my number 9 is Clank by Dire Wolf and Renegade Game Studios by Paul Denon. Can't say enough about Clank. Now, Clank, the original Clank game, not the space or the Silken
Well, that's just like their expansions. to the
expansions,
original.
yeah.
So not like
Yeah,
Legacy
I
necessarily.
guess you could
or-
kind of clump them all together,
Yeah.
clank them all together.
Clank 'em all together.
But yeah, Clank, you're basically trying to get down to steal some treasure from the dragon without trying to make too much noise, and it's a deck builder, so you're building a deck as you go through. You're using your cards for movement, gaining life, and then you can get coins, and you can use those coins to buy backpacks so you can carry more treasure, and the whole goal is you got to get back out, because if you get stuck down below when everybody makes it, is it? Oh no!
Yeah,
If you die down below, you're done. But if you die above ground, then you can still finish the game with the points that you have accumulated.
And if you make it all the way out, you get a
bonus
certain amount of
points.
bonus points.
Yeah. So yeah, Clank by Direwolf, just an awesome game. It's a great. My kids love it. It's an easy game to play. So it's Clank, my number 9.
All right, my number 9 is a game that I was introduced a couple summers ago at my local game shop here, and that is Onitama. And that is a 2-player game, and it's almost chess-like. It's very strategic. You play on a small grid, and you essentially have a kung fu master and 4 disciples or students, and there's a competing set of the same on the opposite side. You get movement cards, so you have 2 in your hand. There's one that is sort of in the middle that's known to everyone, and then there's 2 more that the other player has. And basically, if I play my 1 movement card, it gives me options for how I can move some of my characters, and then by playing that, I know that my opponent will then have to be using that move in one of their upcoming things, or that they'll at least have it in their hand. And your goal is to either capture the other sensei or teacher, and then, or you can get to the dojo space on the other side. So there's 2 ways to win, and there's lots of little mini expansions for this. It's just a very quick and very thinky game, and I really enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, I was there when you were playing it with Lance from Lancelot Games, actually, and as soon as you were done playing with it, you went to the the shelf and bought it. So and yeah, just watching you guys play, it was a very interesting game, and it looks really nice.
Yeah, it comes in a pretty neat box. It's like a tall rectangle with a roll-out mat. It's very nice component-wise and aesthetics-wise. Yeah, and I guess that's my number 9. That's Onitama, and that's by Conception Games, and Shinpai Sato is the designer. And that puts me at my number 8, which is also an Asian-themed game, and that is Takenoko. And Takenoko is by Bombex Matagat Games, and that's designed by Antoine Bauza. And it's, once again, it's a pretty light game, but it's one that I've played a lot, and I've been able to introduce it to like friends and their kids and everything, and we're all able to play it together. It's very interesting. You're basically laying out tiles, and you have these different color gardens that grow different color bamboo, and you have separate goals. As the gardener, your job is to grow the bamboo to please the emperor. If you are the panda, your goal is to eat certain amounts of bamboo. And the other thing that you can do is make patterns of garden tiles basically form on the board. And it's almost like Ticket to Ride. You draw cards that are your hidden goal cards, and on your turn, when that is achieved, you could wait and another player might have achieved your goal for you, but then you can lay out your point card and then basically advance on your points. So it's a nice little game. It looks really cute with like the little panda figure and everything like that. So that's my what was that, number 7 or
number 8?
Number 8 was Takenoko.
Takenoko, yeah, great game. Love how you can move the panda around to kind of mess up with what other people's strategies are. But yeah, great pick. My number 8 is... I was really torn with this one between Lost Ruins of Arnak, but I am going with Dune Imperium by Direwolf, also by Paul Denon as well. And Dune Imperium, it beat out... It's just one of those tough ones. It definitely beat out Lost Ruins of Arnak. I don't know why. I think just aesthetic. I think the space, theme. I've played them probably about equal times. I've probably only won them once each in my playthroughs of them. But basically, Dune Imperium, like I said, it's by the same guy that created Clank. Your deck building, your worker placement, and your trying to make everything stronger. You need spice, you need water, you need certain cards that'll... And every card with this, which is kind of neat, it was when you play a card, it'll have the symbol of where you can go on it, so you can go to that space and collect a reward. And yeah, it's just... It's really fun. Every playthrough so far that I played through, I've vastly enjoyed. My daughter's won it a couple times. She really likes it. She's just 13, so she really enjoys it. So yeah, that's my number 8.
I enjoy that. I've gotten to play it a couple of times now, and just like only having a limited supply of workers at first, and then having to choose which locations can I go to versus what kind of buying power or other special features will the bottom ability of that card get me. I own the other Dune game that was released, like the remake of the 70s one, but I haven't played that yet, and I think it's a very different game, but definitely Dune Imperium, highly regarded, and I think with a few more playthroughs, maybe I would get to know it a bit more. Basically.
No, it's a good game, definitely a good game. So it brings me to my number 7. My number 7 is Terraforming Mars by Stronghold Games and Jacob Freliux. Yeah, Terraforming Mars, it's probably on a lot of people's top 10 lists for sure. Definitely in the top 50 for a lot of people. Have you played?
No, I haven't played this yet. I considered backing the Ares Expedition Kickstarter, but I thought I would just hold off on it because I think part of that you could have gotten like classic Terraforming Mars with it, but I knew Jeff already had it, so.
Oh, gotcha.
And then it would be coming to retail, so I gave it a wait.
Yeah, true. But Terraform Mars is basically like the game. The name says it's your whole object is your company, and your objective is to basically terraform Mars. So it's you're getting cards, you're fulfilling them, you're adding oxygen, water, you're placing tiles on the map that you control, and yeah. I really need to play that one more because I really enjoy it. It's just a fun game. Yeah, so we'll have to play that for sure sometime.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that puts me at number 7 then.
You are at number 7.
Number 7 for me, I kind of artificially bumped into this position just because of the name, and that's Seven Wonders, and that is by Repost Productions. And just like my number 8 game, it is also designed by Antoine Baza, and I had no idea that at first, but
Takenoko?
Yeah, Takenoko and Seven Wonders. Now,
wow.
I know that I'm more of a fan of original Seven Wonders, and maybe I think you've probably played Duel.
Duel, I did, yep.
I also have Duel, but I just have memories of getting into the hobby, and Seven Wonders is great because you can play it with up to 7 people. So when you have a larger game group, not every game allows that. There's a lot of great games that only have up to 4. 5 is kind of maybe still kind of common, and then there's some that are 6, but a bit less common still, I think. But basically, just we had a group of 6 people, and Seven Wonders was one that we could get through really quick. I really enjoyed the sort of drafting mechanic. You have the set of cards each age. You take the one that is either going to help you or not help the people around you, and then just pass it on. And yeah, I just always found it to be a really interesting mechanic, and one of the games that really introduced and got me further into the hobby. So that's my number 7, Seven Wonders.
Good, nice.
Original, not dual. And then that puts me at number 6. And number 6 is a game that's often talked about on the channel, and that is Game of Thrones 2nd Edition. And that's on there, because, well, we played it a lot, and just like helping to get my siblings like Jason and Jamie and Jeff all deeper into the hobby, and sort of like really a kind of big launching pad when you're playing a game that can take up to like 3 hours and everything like that.
The funny thing is, when we were playing it, I wasn't thinking, I still didn't understand that there was this whole new hobby. Like, we were playing this complex game, enjoying it,
yeah,
but not looking any further than that. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, and this is a game. Also, I didn't mention it's by Fantasy Flight Games, and the designer is Christian T. Peterson, and I just really, really enjoy all the sort of tension where it's like area control, but you're competing over like, well, who's going to get the Iron Throne, who's going to get the sword, and I think the other one was the Hand of the King, that all give you different abilities, or was it the Raven? It's been a while since we played.
Has been a while.
But my favorite part is just like you're laying down your tokens, and then like your actions are all revealed at once. So that simultaneous nature of it,
yep,
where everyone's kind of got something active to do, I really liked. And I did just order the Mother of Dragons expansion, so that should be here in a few days, and I'm looking forward to refreshing, going back and getting us all playing the expansion.
That's awesome. Yeah, nice. That's a good one. Yeah, so me now?
Back to you, yeah.
All right, so my number 6 is Blood Rage by Simon, and it's designed by Eric M. Lang. And Blood Rage thought it was going to be higher on my list, but it's just a great game. Basically, it's Vikings, the Norse mythology, and you're basically on, I don't even know what it is, if it's Ragnarok, or no, it's Yggdrasil, or...
I'm not sure. Like, I've only played it 1 or 2 times with you.
I can't even pronounce it.
Yeah. Is it maybe their whole realms, like, I don't know if it's
like
and everything.
Midgard's like in it and that, but I think Yggdrasil or whatever is like the main. Anyways, basically you start off by drafting. You draft your cards, and then you have rage. Your rage meter is how many basically movements you can make, and each one's worth a different rage amount. So you're basically placing, sending out people to pillage, and then you can pillage and get... You can get basically rewards for pillaging, but at the same time, if other people are out on the map, then they can, if you're pillaging and they're next door, they can come over to fight, so they can win that fight, and then you end up going to Valhalla, and sometimes that can be good because you can get bonus points for that. And there's 3 different ages that you go through, so you draft in each time, so you're getting more and more powerful card, and you can also get like mythical creatures to join you in the battle. So it's just a really well put together game. I enjoyed every game I played. We even got our mom to play.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
First game since Monopoly when we were kids.
Yeah, so probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, Blood Rage by Simon. It's a fantastic game. I absolutely love it.
I'm not surprised to see it on your list. It's definitely one of those games I think that you guys played more of while I was away.
Yeah.
So I got a couple playthroughs. I remember the center space being like super advantageous.
Yeah, because it had like, I think there's 3 rewards. You can get the Blood Rage, the amount of players you can have on the map, and I don't know why I'm blanking on it now, but I can't think of it now.
Go watch his Blood Rage video that he already did. Or no, that was Scythe.
Well, I'm glad you've been paying attention.
Yeah, right on.
Anyways, so yeah, number 6, Blood Rage, great game.
Excellent game.
Yeah. So number 5 for me is Viticulture. Viticulture, the Essential Edition. It's by Stonemaier Games, designed by Jamie Stegmaier and Alan Stone. Viticulture is, you're a viticulturist.
Yeah.
You're making wine. You got to grow, you got to plant, you got to buy some. It's a worker placement. It's also, you can get cards, and then the cards enable you to basically get extra rewards. So you're basically planting grapes, and then you're taking them to grabbing the grapes, and then you're making the grapes into wine, and then you're selling the grapes off to make.
You're stomping the grapes.
You're like that
you're
video.
You're mashing different grapes together to get rosé.
Yeah, rosé, yeah, that's one of them. And it's like that video, the news reporter, when she's stomping, and then she goes like,
we're empathetic. We feel bad for her.
Yeah, definitely. It's so funny though. Anyways,
yeah, like that's definitely one where you had it and I played it with you, and then I went out and I got the Tuscany expansion because you said that was supposed to add a lot to it. Really enjoy the art on it and the components, like the little glass beads.
Oh yeah, glass beads, great. Really awesome. And also one thing, I don't know, like I said, new to the hobby, but where they add the grande worker for the worker placement. So if someone's in a spot and you can't move there, you can with the grande worker. So you have your different seasons as well, and summer and fall, and it's just, it's a great game. I like it a lot. We play it quite a bit. So my number 5, Viticulture.
All right. And that takes me to my number 5, which is Small World. And Small World is by Days of Wonder, and it is designed by Felipe Keertz. And this is another one of the games that when I was living in South Korea many years ago now, one of my friends introduced to me, and it, along with like Seven Wonders and some other games, was one that we really would play with our gaming group all the time. It's area control. I really enjoy the variable. Basically, what you do is you have a line of different races and special abilities that each can have, and they're 2 separate tokens that kind of connect together, so you're always getting different combinations of these groups. So it gives you a lot of variety there, even though you're usually playing on the same map, but you do have double sides for different player counts. And it's just basically going out and you put down your set number of tokens to control different areas, and then when you've exhausted what you believe you can do and you feel that there's no more advantage, you're spreading yourself too thin, what's really awesome is you can go into decline, and that means that you still score with those tokens that you have out, but you then get to go on your next turn and select your next character, race, and ability, and then start putting out more tokens. So unless your previous tokens get cleared right away, you're still earning some points from those, plus what you're putting out. And I always thought that was a really good mechanic. I've got Small World Underground I thought was really good too. And I now have Small World of Warcraft, which I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I believe that one has like separate islands, kind of like in World of Warcraft that you can travel to.
Yeah, I'd like to play that again. I enjoyed Small World. I've only played it maybe 1 or 2 times with you, so yeah, I'd like to play that again.
And if you ever look at, like, it's one of the games with I've seen the most insane deluxe edition, all made of wood and everything like that. Look up some videos on that. I think maybe Tom Vassell might have played it, but it's just ridiculous looking. And that's like if you ever make it winning the lottery, that'd be something to look into.
Yeah, big edition.
All right, and that was my number 5. My number 4 is a game that is around 3,000 years old, and that is backgammon. And backgammon is probably the game in my life I have played the most games of. I don't know if that's necessarily the most amount of time, but just most individual plays. Played a lot in university. Like, had a group of friends, and just when we were hanging out, listen to music, and there's a backgammon board on the go. So always playing backgammon. I try when I travel to get a backgammon board everywhere I go. Egypt, where I was living for the last 7 years, it's a huge game there. So you go to local coffee shops, everything like that, and there's just people sitting there, kind of like when you picture people playing chess in New York in the parks and stuff like that. That's like backgammon in the Middle East sort of areas like Egypt.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. So just a game I didn't really play when I was younger, but as of university, I just really picked up on and
which
really
is
enjoyed.
weird because our father always had a backgammon board around the house, and I always remember wanting to learn it. And I think I learned it at one point, but I never actually played it.
The hardest thing to remember is like just the initial setup. It's basically mirrored, so it's not really hard, but it's easy to mix up. Oh, do I put the 3 here and the 2 here? And like, so I just draw a little cheat sheet and throw it in the box.
Oh.
So
there you go.
Yeah, that always works for me, and that's my number 4, backgammon.
All right, so my number 4 is Arkham Horror, the card game. Fantasy Flight Games, made by Nate French, designed by Nate French and MJ Newman. Arkham Horror, the card game, is a living card game where you can buy $8 billion worth of card packs and play forever.
I've only played it with you once. It did seem like a lot to get into. We enjoyed it, and it seemed like one of those things where it's like victory is like a very thin margin to win. And I enjoyed it, but it is one of those things like Magic where I'm worried about those kind of games where it's like you keep wanting to go and go and go.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Lovecraft, the whole Lovecraft world. Now that you're home, I'd like to for us to deep dive into it, because I've only got to play it probably a half a dozen times, and because it's been a new person every time, it's usually I played the first chapter multiple times over and over again. But every play, I just for a card game, like just the story it tells, it's just. It's really cool, and I love the whole world, and you basically can build your deck. You build your deck, and then as you go and go and go, like, you're constantly adding to your deck of what you can add, right? And that's what I want to get into.
It's like between sessions, like, do you have cards that carry over?
Yeah.
Like, as you're, so
the whole time it's a living card game. So basically, as you go, you get more points that you can add more cards to your deck, just to make it more and more powerful as you go through the story. So it's a game I definitely very much enjoy every time I play it, and I'm itching to play it with an actual, like I said, if you're home now, I'd like that we can get into that and play that. But yeah, my number 4, Arkham Horror, the card game. Very good game.
The card game.
The card game. And then that brings me to my number 3. And my number 3 is a big boy. And that big boy is Star Wars Rebellion by Fantasy Flight Games and Corey Kanitzka, which was on this list, was on Zach's for Star Wars Outer Rim. And this guy just makes great games. I mean, you've probably seen the videos recently of the Initiative that Jeff and Jamie reviewed. He also did that. But yeah, Star Wars Rebellion, it's an intimidating game for people. The board barely fits on the little table I have here to play. I've played it probably 7 times now. Never won any of them. But yet it's still my number 3. It's just because it's the Star Wars theme. You have the little minis. I'd like to get the Etsy type stands, the acrylic stands for them, which would be kind of really add to it. But basically, you're the Imperial what are they? Just the Imperials? You're the Imperials or you're the Rebels, and you have your Rebel base, and it's hidden on the map of the solar system, and you choose that at the beginning, and then they're slowly trying to pinpoint where you are. You have your heroes, you're sending out on missions, and depending on their abilities they have on the bottom of their cards, and if who the Imperial people send out, they can battle against you, and you roll and die, and you can fail and succeed, and you're just building your fleet and just trying to trick them by placing maybe scouts in a certain area. So it's just it's a massive game. I know Jeff and Jamie haven't played it yet. They own it. I keep telling them to play it because I think it'd be right up Jeff's alley, because it's a fantastic game. The whole just everything about it is very good, and it's not. It looks like a lot, but it's not. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things. It's like, I think it has that same syndrome as like a game like Axis and Allies, that it takes so long to set up, and while people are watching you set it up for so long, they just assume this is going to be a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely could see that. But yeah, Star Wars Rebellion is just, it's a great game. And I mean, it's a great, what he said, without a rim, and then this on top of it, it's just, they're excellent. Yeah. That's my number 3. Star Wars.
Takes me to my number 3. My number 3, another game that I was introduced to back in Korea in the same gaming group, and that is Betrayal at House on the Hill, and that is by Avalon Hill and Wizards of the Coast, and that is designed by Bruce Glasgow. And I just think it's a game that has potential for a lot of jankiness, but it's an experience. So it's just starting in that main hall, and then everyone's slowly exploring through this haunted mansion, and there's different items you can find, and there's different like spooky events that happen, and basically it's a hidden traitor game. So there's a trigger that happens at some point in the game, and then that reveals what the actual victory conditions for the game are. And I just found that really satisfying. Like, it'd be something that we were just having a lot of fun with. It wasn't necessarily super competitive. Having little rules like when you go on the Mystic Elevator, you have to make Mystic Elevator noises as you move to another space in the mansion. And I haven't purchased the expansion to that. I think it's Widow's Walk, but I did get Betrayal Legacy, which we're going to play at some point. And I did get Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, which I really, really like the theming of. And I think we only played that once or twice.
And I got the Scooby-Doo one.
And the Scooby-Doo one, which is a little bit different, I think, in how it works from what you were saying. Yeah,
it's just for kids, more for kids. You can pick who you want to have the betrayer as.
Yeah, so it's
just
yeah, that definitely works out. But that's my number 3, and very fond memories of playing this game. And it's something that, once again, when people see it or hear you talk about it, I try not to reveal too much, except to all of you right now, that there is a hidden traitor sort of aspect to it.
What?
Because it's just like a nice sort of like, oh, I haven't experienced something like that before.
Yeah.
Why are you sending someone out of the room with a little book, and now we're all like plotting against them?
Yeah, for a first playthrough of that game, it was just, it's nothing I've experienced playing, like that kind of mechanic and that system that it had. So yeah, when I first played it, it's just like, whoa, this is really cool.
I think I remember one where like shrunk down to the size of mice, and you had to find like a battery to put in a toy airplane to fly out. Like,
really?
There's a lot of crazy things in there. So that's my number 3, Trail at House on the Hill, and that puts me up to my number 2 game, which is Clank: A Deck Building Adventure.
Ooh,
and it's on your list, so that's our crossover. And basically, we already talked about it. It's a push your luck deck building game, and there's lots of expansions to it. We have Clank at Space, a bunch of the expansions, and we did start playing Clank Legacy with Jeff and Jamie.
Yeah.
I think we were only able to play while I was home around like a Christmas break, and I think we played maybe to the 3rd scenario. But I think for me, it's my first Legacy game that I got to play, because I was never around enough.
Yeah.
So really enjoyed that with the Acquisitions Incorporated sort of theming there, because I really enjoy the podcasts or whatever they do when they're on stage. So the theming for me, coupled with one of my favorite games, Clank, really made that excellent for me. But I just really enjoy that deck building mechanic coupled with the push your luck aspect. And I think that it's just one of those games where it's, again, not the most complicated game in the world. But when I think of like when I got home, we would always play Clank. We'd get a bunch of games of that in, and it's just something that took a little less time than Game of Thrones, but we always had fun with.
Absolutely. Yeah, great game. Great game. All right. So that brings me to my number 2, which is Rising Sun by CMON Games and designed once again by Eric M. Lang. Rising Sun takes place in feudal Japan, samurais, kind of mythical Japan, I guess. And basically you're fighting, war controlling on the map, I guess. Basically you start with a tea party, so depending on how many people you play with, you can basically join up to work together, and basically by doing that, when you select your everybody has is going to pick a tile to place. You're going to go through that and do that action. So if you're partnered up with somebody, you get the bonus action with when the person that picks the tile, that selects the tile, gets to do. You have Shintos, which you can send up to worship.
There you go.
Is the word worship?
Yeah.
I say worship, but it's worship.
Yeah, it's worship.
So they go up to worship, up in the top, right?
Yeah.
So that can give you a bonus, because after the first one it's 3, then you go to worship, then it's 2 tiles place worship, 2 tiles worship, and then you go into battle, and the battle will be decided that you basically will place out random tiles along the end, and those will be the basically the
zones of
the
conflict.
zones of conflict. So, and each one's numbered. So once you pick once you go into battle, basically you hide everything, but your money is known to everybody. And if you pick up any Ronins, which are little guys, you can add to the battle just to give you extra points. For the most parts, everybody's only worth 1 unless you have bonus mythical creatures. And basically, it's just kind of like a voting. You're just by putting money on what you want to do. You have Seppuku, which is the first one, which will honor killing, in which you'll get victory points. But people could bid higher, and whoever bids higher gets to actually do that action. So you start from left to right, and then at the very end, you can get points for basically who won the battle, and you get to take the tile, and then at the end the tiles are worth everything, and there's tons of different clans. I heard the yellow clan, which I can't remember what their name was, is the dragon? No, not the Dragonfly clan. But I heard they weren't that powerful, but our last game we played, our buddy Tristan, he played as them and he won. So
yeah, I played for the first time then, and I had the Turtle Clan, which was awesome because my strongholds could bite people, which was excellent. But I was kind of surprised when we're going over the rules. Like, it's like you do the bidding, but what's really interesting is that you have all these different conflicts to resolve, but if you win, then the loser of that conflict gets all the money that you bid, which could be more advantageous to them if they have another conflict with you further along the line. Yeah. So there's a lot to think about when you're doing that. A lot of
strategy, bidding. And I think that might be where it kind of wins in Blood Rage, but I don't know. Like I said, they're kind of neck and neck. Really, and you're probably wondering, well, why isn't Blood Rage number 3 then? But I kind of had them in either or spot, and Rising Sun is the most recent one that I've been playing quite a bit. But yeah, my number 2, Rising Sun, great game.
Yeah, not surprised. I definitely know that you're a fan of that series, and I was happy to finally get to play it for once, because that one you do need at least 3 players to play, if I'm thinking correctly.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, I mean, you should anyways, because it's good to do the tea party without it. You're just you must need 3. So yeah, number 2, Rising Sun. So my number 1 is no surprise to anybody that knows me, which is none of you people out there. But my number 1 is
basketball. No,
yep, definitely basketball.
No,
definitely.
Sorry.
My number 1 is Scythe by Stonemaier Games. Designed by Jamie Stegmaier with world building by Jacob Brzezowski, and I love Scythe. I could play Scythe. If somebody says they want to play Scythe, I will play Scythe. It is basically just a beautiful game. It's one of the games I first got early on into the hobby, and your whole goal is to get your engine humming so that you're gathering resources to get your engine going. You're randomly picking a clan and a board, your engine board, at the beginning, which is kind of cool. yeah, you have mechs you can unlock, which give you different abilities. Like you can walk across rivers, and it's just, yeah, it's just such a good game. It's just, you know, we when I first started playing, we had a friend of mine named Matt, and he played it, and he won all the time. He just had it down to a science. So, one of the recommendations I would say is if you do have Scythe, is to get the encounter deck. You can buy the encounter deck, and it adds the encounters that come with the main game are kind of dull, but if you get the encounter deck, it just adds so much more. Like you can get so much more out of them. And also, I bought the modular board, which kind of cuts down on certain areas, or were easier for certain factions. Yeah, factions is what I'm looking for there. But yeah, it's just a really cool game. You're, like I said, you're basically getting your engine going by getting resources and your worker placing, and it's just everything.
Yeah, I've only played it, I think, once or twice, and then you guys spent the rest of that year basically playing it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones where definitely I think like you see the mechs and they stand out, but it's not as fighty as I would have thought it would be. Like I thought, just from looking without reading into it, see the mechs, and I thought, oh, it must be a race to get mechs out and then just dominate through pure military.
Yeah, I mean the mechs definitely help. I mean the whole goal is the game ends when you have 6 stars. Someone has their 6-star placed out, and you can get 6 stars from you know, doing all certain upgrades, putting all your mechs out, and etc. Right? Or like I said, one of the encounter cards might be a secret card that you can do something to get that star. So once somebody has 6 stars out, basically then the game ends right there. But just because the person has 6 stars doesn't mean they're going to win. The last game I played was with Jeff and Jamie and Acacia, my daughter. And Jeff had 6 stars out. I think I only had 3, and I ended up winning because I had a higher population. I was more popular. So that all adds up, because I find if people tend to not watch the popular track, because the popular track is kind of a multiplier. So if you have, you know, if you have this many zones owned, then controlled, then you get like a kind of a multiplier. So it's kind of something to keep track of.
Right, it can sneak up on people.
Yep.
Get it?
But yeah, my number 1 is Scythe, and it's probably going to be number 1 for a long time. It's going to be tough for another game to replace that number 1 for me, but you never know.
I can't say I'm too surprised. Like, I mean, that is the video that you did make about a game.
Yes.
You have a nice overview video on the channel. You should go check that out. And definitely, like, that was the year or 2 maybe when that was out and I was away, and you guys played and played and played.
Yeah, I don't know what our play count on that would be, but it's pretty high. It might be the highest I've played a game.
I kind of feel like it was like we played a lot of Game of Thrones, we played a lot of Clank, and then I kind of missed out, but you guys played a lot of Scythe.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, that brings it to me and my number 1. And my number 1 is just a game that I find have endless replayability for me personally anyway. And it involves what I would have to say is probably my favorite game mechanic, and that's deck building. My number 1 game is Dominion. I guess 2nd edition specifically. Okay. But Dominion is a game by Rio Grande Games, and it's designed by Donald X. Vaccarino.
Okay.
And basically, I personally only owned the base game, Intrigue, and Seaside, but I also went, and they have a website version where it's really excellent, and for like a few dollars, you can unlock every expansion. You can play against other humans and bots, and it really lets you figure out, well, what cards and combinations do I like, because there are a lot of expansions, and it can add up pretty quickly, because each one's, I think, around like $45, $50.
Wow, yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So you could really target, well, which ones have the cards that I enjoy the most for a much cheaper entry price. And it's just one of those things. I really enjoy just the whole aspect of it, where even with just the base game, there's a little bit of variety where you're putting out the different stacks of cards each time, and you just really get to come up with your strategies and your synergies, not energies, and then it basically gets you really thinking, well, how am I going to build my deck to get out those points without sort of clogging it up too much? Because if you're not used to deck building, you're just going to maybe think, well, I want all these cards, and you're not thinking, well, if I do that, I won't be able to cycle back to this card that I want to come up a lot more, which is part of my main strategy to get the victory points I need to win. yeah, I know that there's probably a lot of other deck builders, but I know Dominion's considered to be pretty much one of the big original ones there in the
When did
board
it come
gaming
out?
space.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Dominion, it says 2008 here. I don't know if
2008?
2008. I don't know if that's specifically second edition or not.
Okay.
So if it could potentially be earlier for the first edition. But yeah, I think I have to go with that. Dominion for my number one board game, at least as of now. I have added a lot to my collection while I was away, and I just haven't had a chance to play a lot of the games yet. But now we've got, now that I'm home, we've got like a weekly board game thing going, and I can come up here or go up to Jeff and Jamie. So I'm getting a lot sort of checked off the list lately.
For sure. Yeah, Dominion, great game. You got me into it. I ended up buying the
big box.
The big box. Yeah, it is an absolute game. Definitely would like to get it to the table more now that you're back as well. It's another one I would definitely like to. Great game.
It's one of those ones that's quick. We should maybe even take it to the board game night. I think
that's a great idea. Yeah. So that's our top 11. Comment below on what you think of it. Post yours. I know you did for Jeff and Jamie's, but see what you think of our list. Like I said, I mean, new to the hobby, so a lot of these might be similar to what other people are playing, but as we play more and more games, the lists are going to change. So just check back with us in probably 6 months' time. It's probably going to look quite a bit different, I'd say.
Yeah, maybe 2022 edition we'll get out.
Yeah, for sure. So that's it for us for today. Thanks for being with us. This is Takeover Week, by the way.
So you're going to see us again.
Yeah.
Sorry. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Jeff and Jamie, they're hanging out with Max and his wife. Like, they're visiting. Table knots.
See you later, peeps. Bye.
See ya.